Okay, Jdot. So I've been looking forward to this conversation. So yeah, I'd love to dive more into your background, how you got into crypto, and just the Korean community as a whole. So take it away.
For sure. Thank you for having me. Where do I start? Well, I'm Jdot. I'm a co-founder at Holo Hive. I'm also a co-founder at MBM. So my journey in Web3 started, I think, around 4 to 5 years ago now. I really loved NFTs, but I didn't really like the grinding aspect of it. So I started kind of like messing around, I did some moderated work and I was like, reaching out to some people who was well known in the space, just trying to find out what they're doing.
And did you have a full-time job at that point?
Yes, I did. I was working full time in Web 2. I had not a slightest idea that I would transition over to Web 3, to be honest. It was just a hobby and it was fun. It was great fun. And that's when I met Wani, who was my co-founder at NBM. At that point, he was already one of the top 3 Telegram crypto channel in Korea. He had a huge presence and just kind of connected with him. Well, I think it was when I was a moderator on the project. And he reached out to me for collaboration. And that's when it really clicked for me, which was that back in the days, there was this thing so-called NFT alpha communities. So you have like alpha groups, right? And everyone would be buying passes to get in. So some of the bigger groups, they would mint like 200 passes at like 1 ETH each, right? So massive, I guess payment just to get in the door. And for me, I was like, why don't we just have a free one, right? Just for everyone. Because the small guys can't really get access to the same giveaways. They can't, get access to any of the good opportunities. So I reached out to Wani. I was like, let me handle the collaboration side of things. I grew up abroad most of my life, so my English is usable. And I was like, I'll do that for you, right? Right now, you're only focused on Korea. Let me do the global side of things. And we started just doing that together. So that's when we ventured into the B2B side. We started working with a lot of prominent Korea-based companies. We worked with WeMade, which is like a 2 billion company here. We worked with Nexon, Maple Story team for 2 years with their Web3 game. So just starting to get into that space where we're like actively advising these teams with marketing. And I believe it was 2024. Yano reached out to me. I mean, we've known each other for a while. He was a founder at Project Whitelist, another big alpha group in NFTs. And we were just kind of talking about marketing in general in NFTs. And something clicked and I onboarded as the co-founder at Holo Hive. And it's been a journey for us, just kind of venturing everything. Obviously, NFT is not as fun as before in this market environment.
And so I assume you quit your Web 2 job at that point.
Oh, that's also an interesting story because I didn't quit right after I started Web3. For 2 to 2.5 years, I actually worked my Web2 job. So my whole day, I would just like wake up, go to work, and then I'll come back home. And for the rest of my day, I would just be, working online. And I would be working like extra 50 hours in Web3 for a week. So one thing, or one of the reasons why I did that was that I really wanted to make sure that I was ready for what was ahead. Because obviously not every journey is going to be easy, right? So it took me around 2 to 3 years of kind of proving to myself that, okay, now is kind of the time to go fully on with Web3. Otherwise, I can't sustain this lifestyle. So,
and how would you, as a high level, describe Holo Hive and the service you guys provide? Like, what has it evolved into from that?
So we started with NFT, obviously. Our whole goal was that every marketing company in Web3 was an agency, right? Everybody called itself an agency. We start with really the sole purpose of not being one. We didn't want to be an agency. We wanted to be a consulting company. And the key difference there is that in an agency, and we know many great agencies and we work with many. So we started again from the NFT side. We've done a lot of work in gaming, both with MapleStory and Fableborn and all the top gaming studios like Pixelmon and so on. And then obviously these days we're working much more in the general crypto space. Obviously with Fogo too, great team with Fogo. And these days we're also very much focused on Korean marketing. And our whole goal is just to help people understand everything better. If they're spending big bucks, to market themselves, I feel like they need to have context on why they're doing it in the first place.
Yeah. And I hope we can get into that here because I have tons of questions that I've never, even though we've been working together now for a few months, I have all these questions about the underlying market and how it's evolved. So I hope we can get into that and maybe it'll be interesting for others as well. So let's start with this. So you lived abroad for many years. Now you're firmly in Korea. Are you happy there? How does it compare living in Korea versus the other places you lived?
Well, for me, one of the things I'm really thankful about is that I grew up in a very multicultural environment. When I was in elementary school, all of my friends were from different countries. So in my class alone, I had like classmates from 20 different countries, right? Cool. So it was already like a multicultural setting when I grew up. So by the time I became, I guess, an adult and came back to Korea, I still liked it and I still do like it. There's a difference between how Korea feels versus how the rest of the world feels. There are things and characteristics that's very particular here. It's a. Give me an example. Well, let's see. Well, Korea itself is like one blood country, right? Everyone is like from the same race. Like we're not different races. We all have the same skin color. We all have the same culture. We all eat the same food. So the pro is that we are very collective in what we do. So when we set our mind on something, we do it, right? So that explains kind of the fast development that have happened within the last few decades. If we set a mind on something, that we're going to get it done.
Like everybody's aligned. Everyone's coming from the same. Everyone's on the same page.
Yeah. So
yeah. I mean, look, that says that's like organization 101 is like get everybody on the same page. And there's very few countries that still have that.
I know.
Interesting. Okay.
The cons, maybe it's not a con, but a potential con is like things are very, what do you call it? One of the things of having like a single mindedness to things is that when it comes to culture, like everything comes fast and goes fast. So everyone is hyped about one thing and then that passes and everyone is hyped about another thing.
You can actually see that in the charts of the listings.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So
cool. All right. Cool. So all right, let's and in terms of crypto specifically, like where did all that excitement come from? Like why like when I was at my first job in crypto, like we were already talking about like Korean listings and how excited people were there about new listings. Like where did that come from, or what is it about crypto that just resonates so much with the culture? Where did it all start?
Well, I think that's a very long story. I think, I mean, like from an understanding point of view, it's like it can go to a very, very deep level where I have to start breaking down societal problems. But not going that deep. I think it's just that people are generally very open to new opportunities.
Yeah,
people are ready to do whatever, and that comes from like the unified culture that I explained earlier. Like if my neighbor or my workmate is starting to explore something and they're doing well, then that FOMO factor is generally more amplified in Korean culture. So let's say, my, I guess coworker is trading US stocks and NASDAQ is going crazy. Then like as a Korean, you start exploring in that area too. And if crypto is doing well and your coworker made money, then you're going to be like, okay, I need to start doing that. And they'll also start doing that. So, for example, right now, Korean equity market is super, super hot for the past few months, right? So that creates an environment where everyone is like, very much open to, just diving into the equity market and trading stocks. The same phenomenon happened with crypto over multiple years, where people saw there was an opportunity and they were very much locked in to make the most out of it financially. That was the base layer of it all and created a whole culture of and legend of retail liquidity in the region, and still is one of the biggest factor here. I think on top of that, Web3 natives, who are people much more present on the Telegram side of things, started exploring, just tech behind it and the culture behind it, and they started developing a much more close-knit community culture within the whole broader like retail crypto trading audience. So that's, I think, what we're currently looking at in Korea. It's a much more mature retail.
And for like a foreign company that doesn't have a great consultant like you guys, what do you see as the biggest mistake they make when they try to target Korea?
I think I mentioned it in our first call as well, is confusing Web2 and Web3 audience and thinking they are one and the same.
Yeah.
So everyone has heard of Upbit and Bitham traders. They're like, okay, we need retail liquidity. We want to hit them up. Usually the first step they sort of take is like, okay, how do we get into YouTube? How do we get into Kakao? How do we get into Naver? But the fact of the matter is, Korea is like any other region right now in terms of how crypto market is behaving. It's much more mature, and it's a completely different audience. Just like you wouldn't see Robinhood traders actively present on crypto Twitter, it's the same for Upbit and Bitham traders. Most of them aren't interested in learning about new crypto product. They aren't interested in, reading up your white paper and following up your, social updates. That's really a thing of the past, at least at this point in this market cycle, right? So it's not confusing between the two, and making sure that you are targeting the right audience and understanding that these maybe smaller group of people called Web3 natives actually have just as much liquidity and, influence over marketing and, projects in Korea compared to even the broader Web2 retail audience.
Got it. And like when you say the crypto market is mature, one of the other aspects that I realized when I was out there talking to others was the KOL system is mature. It's like, it's not just like a bunch of guys that people follow. It's very much like they're like a specific KOLs that are at like a much higher level. And I'm curious, like, just to hear more about that. Like, it does seem like it's operating KOLs, and I like the idea of KOLs. Like, I think it's uniquely born from crypto, and it basically spawned this whole other economy where people with influence that have an audience can like make a living. So that's great. We need more things like that. We need a lot of people like making money from doing different jobs within crypto. So curious, like, can you break down like what that's like? Like, who are the top KOLs? You don't have to name names, but like, and what have they done to get there? And like, how much influence do they have? And like, how does that whole thing work in Korea?
So creators have really been consistent over the previous cycles. And that, I believe, that's one of the main reasons that they are where they are. especially on Telegram, unlike X, where you could run into content with the help of algorithm. Telegram, you have to selectively choose which channel you're in, which means people will be selective. They're not just going to come across your channel. They're only going to subscribe and join your channel intentionally when they come across your channel, right? They're not going to just like randomly click follow or see your content.
Yeah.
So that speaks volume about the quality of the content they built up over time and the quality of the trust they built up over time. One of the most, I guess, unique characteristic in the KOL landscape in Korea is how much accountability there is for a KOL. So even if it's let me take a very recent example. Well, I don't really want to name names, but one of the perp decks that was very hot and popular in Korea recently launched, and the token did well, but the airdrop quota was a bit disappointing, right? People were a little bit disappointed when they found out how much allocation they got. And a good number of them, I guess, lost money on fees versus what they got on the airdrop LO. What ended up happening is the creator, who is very well known and who also works with us and with Bogo, he was one of the earliest supporter of that particular project, right? Both organically and so on. And there was a bit of backlash for him, just in terms of like he had to publicly kind of explain the situation and almost apologize on behalf of the project. But it also had a good effect where the creator themselves have accountability. So what ended up happening is that project team ended up setting up a system where people could file a form and get reimbursed for fees they spent during the airdrop.
Based on his influence.
Yes. So, there's a lot of accountability in that space. And it's not just like, shilling. That's why like memes in general, much as like they've been super popular in the global side for like 24 and 25, actually didn't have as big of an impact in Korea versus other sectors. So the Korean CEX landscape is very, very, I guess, what do you call it? Very closed ecosystem. It's very difficult for external parties to get involved in. For example, foreigners still can't really trade on those platforms. And you need to do all types of KYC and link your bank account and all of those things just to be able to trade. Most of the trading happens with KRW pairs, like you mentioned. There are BTC pairs and USDT pairs, but their liquidity is not as good. So most people trade KRW. Now, when it comes to KRW, you have to understand how the general trading audience is perceiving it. One of the key characteristics, although not really a positive factor, is that KRW has been very much underperforming versus every other global currency in the last 2 to 3 years. So if you just look at like USD and KRW, you can see the effect of the currency exchange rate just like continuously going up, right? And that almost like pushes people to
take risk.
Yeah, exactly. So they either don't care about it at all, or like, okay, well, I'm just trading token. Like, I don't really care if I'm trading with KRW or USDT or anything. Or for more aware and pro traders, they have to almost think about how to balance between holding KRW versus holding USDT. And one interesting factor is that there's this thing called kimchi premium here.
Yeah.
Yes. So
like that was SBF's claim to fame is when that was what he was initially trading in the early days. Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Well, there's a new claim to fame now, but that was his original claim to fame before it all went down.
Yeah. But basically, for those who are not super familiar, it's basically that it's like Coinbase Premium, where on the Korean CEX, you can either have, you know, let's say it's BTC, then in KRW, it could either be more expensive versus foreign exchanges, or it could be cheaper depending on situation. For example, if the market crashes very fast, like October last year, then the premium could go to like 5% plus, which means like if you take your BTC from a foreign exchange and send it to a Korean exchange and sell it, you're actually selling at a 5% higher price.
Yeah.
In a more bull market situation, it can be negative, where like, you know, BTC's price can be cheaper here versus global counterparts. It's a good measure to use for retail participation, right? It's kind of gauging. For example, if it's a bull market and, you know, the premium is negative, it means that the retail liquidity in Korea hasn't really been activated just as yet. If it's a bull market and the premium is high, it means that Korean retail is actually leading the bull. So different indicators used for this one, but there are people who are experts who just trade solely on this, like you mentioned. So
okay, and last regulatory topic. You had made us aware earlier of a new affiliate because, you know, like the way most of these perps exchanges get traders is through these affiliate programs. Like Binance and Bybit have huge affiliate programs, very successful. And my understanding is Korea has kind of come out with some clarity on that as well. Can you
yes,
comment on that? Yep.
you're correct. Earlier this year, the government issued a regulation for not only crypto influencers, but all financial influencers, where they're starting to ban affiliate marketing. So both Bybit and OKS, and if I'm not wrong, Binance as well, basically also issued a notice that if their affiliates are marketing and posting content in Korean, then all their rewards are voided. So it is definitely an effect. And the government is also taking extra measures to regulate financial influencers. One of the key things that we're currently watching is they're trying to pass a regulation where if you are a financial influencer, then you have to disclose your financial holdings. So that could potentially really change, I guess, how people talk about different projects, because they have to, you know, if they're not holding anything and feeling heavy, that is counterintuitive. So some of these things are still not in effect. Some things like the affiliate marketing side is in effect. I think the bigger companies in crypto are much more careful, like I said, and they are trying to avoid it altogether. Some other companies are still trying to find ways to find a loophole and execute, but we'll see the full effect of it. I think crypto is still like relatively small when it comes to the influencer effect. So the government is not like being crazy with it. There's a lot more information available in English, and obviously the speed of updating everything is also much faster because everything is done in English. So that creates a much faster loop when it comes to information. But generally, one of the characteristics of Korea, especially on the Web3 side, is that people are open to trying everything. So if you look at the global market, like you look at NFT people, like they're mainly just doing NFT. Like if they're gamers, they're mostly just on gaming. If they're DeFi, then just mostly on yield farming, right? LP farming. If they're traders, and they're usually, you know, if they're meme coin traders, they only trade memes. If they're perp trader, they usually only trade perps. So it's very like segmented, right? It's not a whole audience like altogether. Whereas in Korea, like people would generally pursue all types of opportunities. They would be airdrop farming one day, and then they would be minting NFTs the other day. Then they would be playing games the other day, and then they would be vibe coding there. So like people are generally much more open in that regard. So that's why I said like I wouldn't necessarily use the word move. But that's one of the very unique characteristics of this market, and possibly why it's a good market to hit, just because like like literally everyone is open to trying anything, right? And that gives you a whole wider audience to work with rather than trying to find in a very niche audience in this very niche region.
Yeah. All right. Last question. So, so a lot of people have moved from Dubai to Thailand, actually, but I would have thought, with kind of some of this turmoil, a lot of people would be moving to Korea as well, crypto people. And look, my daughter might have her way and convince me to move as well. So what advice would you give to somebody in crypto, like considering a move to Seoul? And is there lots of IRL events? Like, what could they expect?
Seoul is a very vibrant city. It's one of, I believe, the best cities in the world. It's very, very safe. It's very, there's like, I think 2 million people in there. No, not 2 million, 20 million people in there. And the food is great and everything is great. When it comes to living in Korea, though, I'll call it a much different experience because, like I said earlier, it is a very unified society. Unlike somewhere like Dubai, where you have basically people from everywhere and all different countries and all different cultures, and you can find whatever you need, whether from your home country or from your region, right? Whereas in Korea, you could find it more difficult to kind of fit in, both culturally and with the language barrier, everything, and with visa and like environment. So I'll say it's generally much more difficult. Most people who are here, like foreigners, are usually working in English academies. That gives them, I guess, a job to get a visa and so on. If they're not, then they're usually not in Seoul. They're usually doing, manual work or factory work down in the southern rural areas. But in the city, I'll say, as much as it's super fun to live in and super fun to just like experiment and all the positive side, it's probably very difficult if you're not in this particular like East Asian culture to just come here and work remotely and just kind of enjoy life. I think for a short visit, it's great. And maybe even for a
I'm going to tell my daughter that we're going for a month.
Yes, but living long term, you would have to actually like start fitting in and figure.
And how about crypto? Is there a lot of IRL events for crypto?
There are a lot of our, I guess, offline events happening lately. And they are, I'll say, much more retail focused. So it's less builders, much more retail friendly. And that's great to see. And KBW as well, like it's much more retail friendly than all the other conferences. So if you're looking to just connect with people overall and trying to feel the atmosphere, then it could be great to just come and visit and experiment with all of that, whether during KBW or not. Other than that, I would say, yes, it's a big city, and all the positives and the negative sides of living in a big city comes with.
Yeah. So thanks, man. I learned a lot. What is there anything you want to plug? Where do people find you? If people are looking for a partner in Korea, where can they find you?
They can find me on X or Telegram, both at J.Hamilton or at Holo Hive.
Telegram. It's all about Telegram for you guys, right?
It's Telegram and X, anywhere you see the golden cat, and hit me up. And if you see me offline, then I would also be wearing shades just like this golden cat. So that's how you find me.
All right. Sounds good. And I hope to see you soon when I'm actually out there. Let's plan a trip.
For sure.
All right, Jdot. Thanks. All right. Thanks again. This was fun.
Appreciate it.